Oh gosh.
Okay.
I can't see
All
the
right,
video. Is that at my end then?
Yeah, no, that's just me still. Just a minute. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, just give me 2 seconds. Mute all. Okay. All right, just a minute. Here we go. All right, there we go. Now is everybody good? All right. So as I mentioned, we are working on the legs. I want to work on the back body today. We're doing back bends. And so I'm really going to be focusing on strengthening the legs today. And particularly the back of the legs, so hamstrings as well. And of course, you know, like, I don't know about, a lot of people are doing more walking and more bike riding. So if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're using a lot of the front leg, and we need to make sure we use the back. So sit for a second and move your fleshy tissue. Just pull your tissue away to the sides and connect with your sit bones, and then place your hands on your hips and find that neutral pelvis. So if you tilt your pubic bone up towards your head, then you're rounding your back and you can feel your bony spine, and then you can come forward until your spine is in your back. It's not poking out. And then get really nice and tall and lengthen through even the top of the head. Draw your chin in, feel softness in the back of the neck. Let your face relax, let your eyes sink back in their sockets. Let your elbows drop towards the floor. And on Monday night, we also did the back body. We're doing back bends. It was gentle back bends. And so I'm going to incorporate some of what we did on Monday, in Monday's class as well, into today. Focus on your breath. Bring your awareness to your inhalation and exhalation. From the top of your head down to your feet, or your, if you want to think about just your tailbone, buttocks, going down into the legs. Just think of this sort of almost as if you're pulling a curtain down over you. And as you pull that down, you get this sense of relaxation and this sense of letting go of tension that you're holding on to today. Or what you've been holding on to for the last couple of months, maybe, perhaps. And just let that tension release out the soles of your feet. Just visualize that. Focus on your breath. Focus on the present moment. Bring your hands to your heart and set an intention for your practice today. Or maybe just think of 3 things that you're extremely grateful for. And then bring your hands down to your lap and slowly open your eyes. You know, just as I was thinking there, I was listening to a podcast yesterday. I was looking for information on how to heal ourselves, and for myself as well as for some of the clients that I'm dealing with right now, nutritionally. And you know, we build neural pathways in our mind, and when we're thinking the same thing all the time, those pathways become ingrained. And then in order for us to change, or in order to heal our body, we can't keep thinking of our body in the same way. So if we're always saying, you know, I've got this sore knee, 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 if that's always resonating with us, then that's going to be the pattern that's going to be ingrained, and it's very hard to get out of that pattern. So then we have to change the pattern to think differently. So a lot of times when I say to people, we're going to do this in class, we're going to do that, like the immediate reaction is, oh no, I don't want, that's not my favorite, you know, I don't like that. But you want to build new pathways. So that's why we have to keep trying new things and having different ways of thinking about it. And why we start small and work up to success in the end is because when we have success with the little things, then it helps us have success with the bigger things. Okay, so that was a lot of talking today. I'm sorry. Anyways, and we started late too, so we're going to have to really make up for it. So move your props or whatever you have that you're sitting on. And I want to start with, like I said, I'm working on the back body. So the first part of the back body is the feet. It is the soles of your feet. So I want you to find Tadasana. Find the four corners of your feet. Lift your toes up really high. I don't know if you can see me lifting my toes up. Lift your arches up and make sure you're on the four corners. So in other words, you're not doing this supinating or pronating. If you look down, your feet and your ankles are right in the middle. This is training the leg so that when, because we have a tendency for one side to be weak and one side strong, we want to even this out. So we're lifting the toes, we're lifting the arches, and we're literally focusing. I mean, I know you can't see anything here, but I'm focusing on sucking my arches right up into my body. I want to take those arches and lift them and lift them and lift them. And I'm holding for a little while. I'm holding this as I'm talking to you. So keep holding, lift those arches up, keep getting them. And you might even start to feel a cramp or something happening in your foot, and that's okay. It just means that the foot needs more strengthening. So you keep doing that, keep lifting up. Okay, and then exhale, release your toes back down. Let the foot relax. You see how the arch drops. Now do it again, lift your toes up, lift the arches of your foot up towards the ceiling. Put more weight into the heels of your feet rather than the toes. You're connected with the balls of the big toes, but you're also feeling that curtain, that back part of the heel. So lift up and draw the energy, draw the arches of the foot right up into your body. And then exhale, release. Let your feet down, and we'll do it one more time. Lift the toes up, all toes. And as you lift them up, spread them nice and wide. Take the big toe and the little toe and get them as far away from each other as you can. As far away as you can. Keep lifting, lift the kneecaps up, engage the leg muscles, engage the glute muscles. On Monday night, I talked a lot about how the thighs push back and the sides of the sacrum. So if you think of your sacrum is kind of here, the sides of the sacrum are drawing forward as your thighs are drawing back. So that if you weren't there on Monday, that's what was kind of a theme that ran through. Okay, so now we're strengthening the whole leg. We're getting buttocks involved. We're getting abdomen involved. We're putting space between our hips and our ribs, maybe lifting our arms up over our head. Good, and then exhale and release the hands back down. Draw the feet back down, let the legs relax. Now, we're going to come up we're gonna do some heel lifts. And when we do this, especially my left ankle is my sort of weaker one, I'll go out like that, do you see? And I don't wanna do that, I don't want the foot to go out. So if I come up really high, but it causes me to sort of bend the ankle like that, or let it sickle, we call it, then you're going to go lower. So we're just going to lift the heels and then drop them back down. Lift the heels and drop them back down. So not only are we strengthening the ankles here, but you're going to start to feel your calves. Okay, and you see, as weakness comes up, I want to take my legs apart, but I don't want to do that. So the inner ankle is coming out, the outer ankle is pushing in. And I'm lifting and lowering and lifting and lowering. And again, and Donna, you might feel this now, you might really start to be feeling your legs. Okay, good. And then just let that release, come back. And have your feet whatever distance apart feels good to you. We'll turn our palms out, inhale, lift our arms up over our head. We're gonna grab our left wrist and pull it through the side body. So push your left foot down, release over to the right. Draw the belly in and up. Stretch, we're stretching this lats, the side body. Inhale, come on up. Grab your other wrist. Come over to the left. And then exhale. So when we think of the side body too, there's of course all the back strengthening we need to do, but there's also, like I said, side body here is important in a back bend. Outer hips is important as well. So when working with the outer hips, let's just do a little balance pose. So take your, if you need a chair or your couch or something like that, take your outer hips, draw them in, draw the pubic bone towards the tailbone, activate that lower abdomen from the pubic bone to the belly button, and then we're just going to lift one leg. So lift your leg up in front just a little bit, stand on that one foot, reach your fingers down, lift your breastbone up, keep in Tadasana other than the lifted leg. And see what's happening in your standing foot, and then exhale and release. Come back to Tadasana. Again, whatever distance is comfortable for the hips. Traditional is feet together, but if you want to go a little further, that's fine. Yoga was developed for men, and men tend to have a narrow hip carriage. So maybe if you have a little wider hips, you need a little bit of space. Okay, so now I'm lifting up the left foot, keeping Tadasana, drawing the belly in and up, working that standing leg. And again, if you need something for support, use it. Think of this right foot, the arch lifting up like we just did. Feel the calf and the shin bone coming together. So activating the lower leg, kneecap lifts, quad and hamstring are hugging in as well. And then exhale, bring your foot down. Okay, and now we're just going to, I'm going to stand to the side so you can see. We're going to take our right leg up again. This time we're going to bring the foot behind us. So we're balancing on the left foot, but we're bringing the foot behind us. And how come my balance isn't as good when I bring the foot behind me? Okay, and then exhale and release. Okay, and again, if you need to hold on to something, feel good. I think it's my yoga mat here, actually. I'm going to blame it on that. Okay, let's do the other side. So I'm bringing my left foot up, keeping my balance. It's kind of interesting observation, what happens when you bring the foot out in front and when you take it behind you. Good, and then exhale and release. All right, now we're going to take a even wider stance, like about the width of your yoga mat. And you're going to bend your knees, going to inhale, lift your arms up over your head. You're going to hinge at the hips into a nice forward bend. So come down to your first forward bend. So this is not really about the hamstrings here at all. It's about letting your spine release. So bend your knees, have the abdomen on the thighs, and then maybe grab your elbows, let your head drop. Let the sides body lengthen. Let the top of your head reach towards the floor. And at the same time, take your shoulders, although your elbows are reaching towards the floor, take your shoulders back and your shoulder blades back towards your waist, so you're not shortening the neck at all. And then you can nod yes or no. And then take your hands onto your knees and come halfway up. And then all the way up. And step your feet together. Good. And then exhale and release down. Okay, so we're going to do a forward bend again, but this time we're going to kick our back leg behind us so that we're trying to connect with this hamstring. So we're going to again bend our knees, hinge at the hips, come forward into your forward bend. I'm going from the side view just so you can see. I'm going to let my head go. Make sure your hands are on something. They're either on, blocks, a chair, whatever you need it to be on. And then I'm going to take my left knee. I'm going to bend my knee, bring my heel towards my buttocks, and bring the leg up behind me. So it's like a one leg forward bend. My knee is staying bent on the right side unless you're really connected. Then you can try straightening the leg. And you're pulling your heel towards the buttocks. Okay, and then exhale, release. And come halfway up. And then all the way up for standing, and we'll do the other side. Get really nice and tall. I still have my arms up over my head. Exhale, forward fold. And again, we're lifting now the right leg up, or the left, whichever leg you didn't lift up. Balancing on the straight leg. Make sure you're not shifting your weight too far back or too far forward. You want to be on that four corners. Lift those arches of the foot and spread the toes really nice and wide. See how far you can lift your leg without tilting the hips to the side. The hips have to stay down level. And then exhale and release. We're working the hamstring here, it's not your traditional warrior 3. And then inhale, bring your arms up over your head as you come out, and exhale back to the heart. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with the leg on all fours. So we're going to come down. Let's do, I always feel like I miss something in my practice if I don't do Adho Mukha Virasana. So take your toes together, your knees wide, and we'll just start by reaching out on our yoga mat. And we did this on Monday night with our hands on blocks, and the whole purpose is to let your spine drop towards the floor. So feel the back body. Connect your hands into the floor, bring the little finger and the thumb together, and work those arches just like we work the arches of the foot. Activate the hands strongly. Try pulling your yoga mat towards you, your hands towards your hips, and then draw them away. And then walk your hands back. Okay, now as I mentioned, we'll come on to all fours. So again, proper hand placement here. Please be careful that you connect. I like to lift my hand up, connect, widen it and broaden it, connect with all the knuckles in my hands, then start drawing my thumb and my baby finger together. So activating those arches. Make sure that the creases of my wrists are parallel to the front of my mat. For most of us, that means that the index finger will be pointing up. Then look at your hands and make sure that they're not rolling out, that the knuckles are facing, you look at your nails. If your nails are all pointed to the right or to the left, that means you haven't quite got the action of the thumb and the index finger. And then take your left leg and pull it back and just give your calf a little stretch. We did that work earlier. Take your quad up, take your shin bone up, pull your heel back, and as you do that, lengthen through the breastbone. And then when you do that, then you realize, okay, there's a space between my ribs and my hips. I've got to engage my core. So draw the lower belly up, squeeze your hip points together, make that action, and then, only then, add in the other leg for plank pose. Push through the heels, bring the breastbone forward. Breathe while you're in your pose. Push your hands down. And remember, if you're feeling tired today, you can always do knee down. You don't have to have legs up. You can do one leg only, whatever feels good. Push your yoga mat away and then drop, like your hands, push them away from each other, and bring the heel of your hand and your feet together. You should feel a lot of core engagement when you do that. You are making the pose harder, but you're also doing it properly. Good. And then exhale and release. That feels good. Okay, now we're going to take the right leg. I'm going to turn around again for you guys. So that we'll do right side first. Let's take the right leg up, knee is bent. Bring the sole of the foot to your ceiling without tilting the hips. We're not doing that kind of dog, fire hydrant pose, the dog at the fire hydrant. We're just doing extending the leg, bending at the knee, and pushing the heel of the foot up towards the ceiling. So we want to start to feel our hamstring. And if you have wrist issues and you want to come down on your forearms, it just works as well. Engage the core, draw the two hip bones together. Lower from the pubic bone to the lower belly button. Bring your breastbone forward. I know I'm holding a long time. Extend the leg out before you go, push through the heels, and then drop the leg down. you know, as soon as I take my focus away from my hands, my weight tends to go on the outside, and I need to realign that. So index finger and thumb knuckle more focused. So I look at my nail beds. How are they going? Okay, left foot extends out. Push through the heel. Get the length in your spine, lengthen your sacrum, then bend the knee. Now try to push your sole of your foot up towards the ceiling without rolling the hips. We're not exercising the hips so much right here. Squeeze the outer hips together, engage the core. Think of your two hip bones and try to draw them together, try to make them touch and engage that lower abs. And then look, just take your breastbone and bring it way forward. Lengthen through the top of your head. And I know I said this on Monday night as well, when it's very, very hot, we should stay in the poses longer and work slower, okay? And then exhale and come on out. So that's something to think about. What are you doing in your poses? Okay, now I want to, next, so just looking at my cheating notes. I made a few notes for today. Okay, let's come back up to standing. And find Tadasana again. It's getting nice and sunny out there. I think I might have to take my sweater off. And then inhale, lift the arms up over the head again. Shift your weight onto your heels and come into chair pose. So chair pose tells us a lot about what's going on in the back body. It tells us if our calves are too tight. It tells us a lot about strengths in the quads. And can you feel your hamstrings in this pose? So can you try to bring your hamstrings, these behind here, and draw them up into your quads? Take the tailbone down, and then shift your weight back even more and bring your hips back even more, and then come forward. Pretend you're sitting on a chair. So we want to get our thighs parallel to the floor. So I'm holding again for a long time, which is actually bringing heat into my body. You're going, well, I don't need heat in my body, but when you bring heat in your body, it's actually good. Burn off some toxins. Good, and then inhale and come on up. Good, exhale and release. So that was a pose just to balance things out, working the quads and the hamstrings so that we're not neglecting either one. Okay, so next, we're going to come down into downward dog, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bend at the knee. So find your downward dog. Find the four corners of your hands. Push through your knuckles. Index finger pointing up to the top of your mat. Make your wrist action work by drawing thumb and index finger together. Okay, shift your weight back to your heels. Activate your shoulders and your arms. The outer armpit comes in. You lift the inner armpit up towards the ceiling and draw the shoulder blades back. So there's that counter action. Then we're going to lift, and we're just going to lift our knees off the ground, and we're going to work the spine. So push your hands forward, draw your hips back. Don't straighten your legs yet, even though you want to. Just hold that. And then see if you can straighten your legs. And again, go back into your feet. Find the balls of your feet. Push them into the floor. Draw your heels back away from you. Then lift I'm lifting my left leg, but either leg. Lift your leg up without tilting the hips. Bend your knee. Bring your heel to your buttocks. And draw the knee away from you, like you would draw your foot away from you. And then come on back down. Come right back down onto your knees and take your hips back to your heels in a little rest pose. So even though I'm resting, I'm not collapsing. I'm activating all the muscles in my arms. I'm activating my breastbone is coming forward. My shoulder blades are very firm into my back. I'm lengthening through the side body. I'm active. just don't want to sink into my shoulders. I want everything, my arms to be really supporting me. Okay, so we'll come out into downward dog again, curl the toes under, lift the knees off the floor just a bit. And your job here is just to get those thighs back. Think again about thighs back, sides of the sacrum forward, and in this case, they're almost like coming towards the ground. And then very slowly straighten your legs when you're ready and lift the opposite leg up, bend the knee, and draw the knee towards your buttocks. Again, don't roll out to the side. This is not about this pelvis opening. Keep pushing your weight back into that back leg. And then slowly come on down. And take another little rest. Okay, so that was like kind of warming us up. So now we're going to do that. I know you guys all love this one. Your blanket is going to be on your hard floor. If you don't have a hard floor, as I mentioned in the video, in the instructions, you need 2 pieces of paper or 2 plastic bags, something you can put your feet on so you can try to slide forward and slide back. We're going to go into bridge pose, and in bridge pose, we'll do the slide back and forth. So it'll actually come out sort of like into a extended bridge, well, we can call it, okay? So I've got my feet on my blanket. You guys can see my blanket in the video. And I'm gonna come down to lying. My blanket's on my floor. And so what I wanna do first is, I'm gonna go this way for you can just see me. And I'm gonna lift my hips up and push my arms down. So I've got a lot of support. The back of my head is pushing to the floor. And then I'm gonna slowly take the blanket away from my head. So I'm pulling it towards you, towards the camera, and then I'm going to pull it back. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm only going a short way to start, and then I'm going to come back. Because if I can't come back, then it's not making the pose balanced. So I'm going to go a little bit forward and a little bit back. And then I'll see if I can go a little bit more. Maybe. I'm up on my heels, by the way. So like I do have my feet flat on the floor, but as I move, I'm moving it's my heel that I'm moving forward, and see how straight you can get and also come back. So I'm going to give you some time to just play with this. If you're not sure what I'm doing, because you can't see it properly in the camera, I'll turn now the other way. Just feel free to watch if you're not wanting to do this. Maybe if you feel like you don't have the appropriate thing. You can even slide books, actually. I've tried it, so it works. Just taking your foot on a book. Blocks don't work usually because they're not smooth. You need something smooth. Okay, so again, I'm going to lift my hips, hold even the edges of my mat, and just work back and forth. So this is really working the muscles. And don't forget, you may feel like you've got a cramp in your hamstring or something, and that is normal. Again, it's just cramps are a sign of weakness in the legs, okay? So, and really observe what's happening as you draw your blanket back. Like, are you taking your knees out wider to get strength? Or, you know, is there some kind of hesitation that's happening? And if for some reason you can't do this with your hips lifted, just practice doing it with your hips down. Just bringing the back and forth. You're still using the muscles, you just may have to do it more times to get this feeling of, oh yeah, I can feel my hamstrings really talking to me now. Okay, I feel like that might have been enough for everyone. If anybody feels like they need more time, please just unmute yourself and let me know if you want to do more. Okay, so from there, where am I going, right? Where am I going? Jesus. We're going to do reverse plank next, and then we're going to stretch the quads, and then we're going to do a sort of our back bend. We're going to do a back bend where we bring the legs behind. I'll show you anyways. So we're going to start with reverse plank. So sit on your yoga mat, take your hands behind. Ideally in this pose, our fingers are pointing towards us. And this is really an important pose to really work the wrist properly, because again, I don't want to be leaning onto the little side, the outside of my wrist. I want to be pushing through all my fingers. So the second part of this is we'll injure our shoulder if we don't activate the shoulder blades. So I'm going to push in and squeeze my shoulder blades together. Let's just all practice that. Lift the breastbone up, squeeze the shoulder blades into the front of your body, squeeze them in so that your breastbone lifts. If you have neck issues, feel free to tuck your chin. Push your hands in, activate those wrists, and then exhale and release. Okay? So you must be able to maintain the lift of the breastbone so that the shoulder is not rolling forward. If you watch, you do not want to do this pose with your shoulder rolling in. That will cause a rotator cuff disturbance. Call it disturbance in energy. Okay, so now feet are out in front. We're going to push into our hands, engage the core. So remember, we want to make this panini in the front and the back body. The front body is drawing down towards the floor. The back body is drawing up. It's like that whole resistance, like when we lift our back leg up in lunge pose. Think the same kind of resistance. Okay, so lift, breastbone up, push your feet in, belly down, sacrum up, thighs pushing down, heels pushing down, sides of the sacrum up, belly in, exhale, release. Good. All right. Relax, shake your wrists out a little bit. Most people find this a little hard in the wrists, and I'm not exactly sure why this works so well, but if you squeeze your wrist like this, squeeze, 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 and then let go, it kind of helps. And then you can go back again. And remember, if it's too much, take your hands outward, okay? No, we have to experiment. There's no hard and fast rule. Lift your breastbone up. All right, now we'll do full pose. So we're going to start into that one we just did and then extend our legs out. So I'm lifting the breastbone up, drawing the shoulder blades in. My back should be very, very, very firm. Abdomen and back working together to do that panini. I lift the hips up. I extend my right leg, push through the heel of the foot if I can, push through the other heel. Keep lifting the sacrum up. The thighs are drawing down the sacrum. There's that counter resistance there. I don't know if that's correct terminology. And then if you can let your head fall back. But when you let your head fall back, there shouldn't feel like there's a ledge there. If there's a ledge, that means that you're lifting the shoulders up and the shoulders have to go down and in. So that's why you'll feel a ledge there, okay? So, is that good? All right. Before I go into the pose I was going to do next, I want to do two things. So, and I apologize for those who were there on Monday when we did some variations on Shalambhasana. I just want to do one Shalambhasana again. If you have neck issues or you're feeling, neck issues, basically any kind of vertigo, any kind of just brain disturbance today, feeling sinusy, whatever, then you could leave your head down in this pose, okay? Now I'm just going to put a blanket here. I probably don't actually need it because I have a double yoga mat, but it's for my pubic bone. And so what I want to think about is the two sides of my pubic bone pushing down into the mat, my two hip bones pushing back, my belly pushing up away from the yoga mat. I want to get the same arm action. I want to roll the shoulders back, draw my hands back. So if we just think about this, just everybody do this for a second, get that action that we just had in the reverse plank, okay? Now, we're going to come down again onto our belly, and we're going to do Shalambhasana. And like I said, you're very welcome to leave your forehead down on the floor during this whole thing if you have neck issues. Extend each leg out. So I'm going to ground my pubic bone and my hip bones, going to lift my left leg up, extend it out, lift my right leg, extend it out. Again, engage my core, take my hands to the sides, palms facing each other, roll the shoulders together and lengthen through the top of your head. Fingers are reaching. And then we're going to exhale. And when we inhale, we're going to lift the upper body. If you are, you could keep your head down and just lift the shoulders and chest. So shoulders and chest, and I'm going to lift my legs up. And I want to draw my hamstrings into my body, my thighs up towards the ceiling. I'm going to push through the balls of my feet and my heels. I'm not going to let my belly push into the floor. I'm going to breathe in the pose, hold, and then exhale and release. What I want to feel there is my back muscles actually working. Okay, so that's when you know, feel your back muscles working, and you try to hold a little bit longer. All right, and then you can come out. Don't give up too quickly. And then let's do it again. Let's exhale. Inhale, lift. Thighs up. Shoulder blades up. Fingers reaching. Try to get your hands to join behind your back. If you actually can join your hands behind your back, feel free to do that. And exhale and release. I think we have to do it one more time. The more you do it, actually, the better it's going to get for you, believe it or not. So let's do it one more time. We could do it 20 times, but we don't have the time. Okay, exhale. Inhale, lift. Shoulder blades together. Shoulder blades drawing down towards my waist. Bring your hands together behind your back. You can see how far you can get. Lift the thighs up, push through the balls of the foot and the heel. And then exhale and release. Okay. Now, so the next thing I want to do to prepare us for the next pose we're going to do is I want to stretch my quads. And I know the people in the class today, you all know how to stretch your quads, what works for you. There's the traditional Virasana, so coming here, flattening the calves, putting space in there, sitting down in between your heels, and then drawing back. There's this pose. You can come to standing and do a quad stretch there, or you can take your foot behind you this way. So again, heel to buttocks. Heel to buttocks. So that works. Or of course, standing. And if you are standing and you need some support on something, like here, okay, remember that we're drawing the knee away from the front body. We don't want to have our psoas in flexion. We actually want to lengthen the psoas here. So the buttocks has to work. Whether you're lying, sitting, whatever, try to draw your buttocks up towards the ceiling so that you extend this front psoas area. So I'll come down and sitting for a second. So even if I'm doing full Virasana, I'm going to lift my hips a little bit, draw my tailbone towards my pubic bone. I'm going to try to extend my knees away from my head. And then, see, maybe I can come down to lying, maybe I can. It all depends on the day, right? So you want to bring your knees, see how you want to try to hug your knees in as close together as you can. When I lift my pelvis off the floor, I get such a nice stretch in the quads, so it works really well for me. I don't want my knees to lift off the floor, so I'm actually pushing down and I'm lengthening. I'm trying to get my knee away from my pubic bone. I'm getting a good stretch there. Good, and then exhale and release. Now, if you just did one side, now you got to do the other side. And if you came out of this pose, what I recommend is that you go in it again. So again, tuck tailbone and come down. See how you do. Or you're changing sides. Maybe this time, you can even go a little further, go all the way back down. But it's all about working here. Hamstring pops up away from the floor. to give you that. You're activating your hamstring to get that length, and then you're taking your knee away from you and your pubic bone towards your head, and activate the belly as well and the sacrum. And you've got a really nice pose here. Or you're just doing the other side of your quads. Give you a few more seconds. And good. And then to come out, I like to come forward, and then I like to sit down on my buttocks. If you're doing full Virasana, if you're doing some variation, you can still do this pose. Just do a little Dandasana. So staff pose, just sitting, engaging quads and opening up through the back of the legs. You can put your hands down on the floor, get long, and just really feel the difference between the compression and the opening of the legs. Okay, so now here's the pose that I want to play with today. And so here's the thing, the higher up you are on your blocks, the more chance of sort of success you'll get in bringing the leg underneath, okay? Now, this pose might be very difficult for people who have tight calves, who have tight top of the foot, but it's also really good because you stretch those areas, and that's what's really nice about it. So it's a variation on bridge pose, and what you want to do is come down a bridge and then get your hips up as high as you possibly can, comfortably, okay? Go on your tippy toes, maybe find the high part of your block. And again, on Monday we did this, but I didn't add in this extra part. Now, please watch me if you can see the screen. I know that some of you have bigger TVs, so it's better to see. I'll start with my left leg, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep walking my leg back. So I'm trying to walk my foot back towards my head. I'm going to draw this ankle down towards the floor, and I'm getting quite a bit of flexion there. I'm really feeling the stretch in my psoas. So I'm just going to walk it back, walk it back, walk it back. So the more I walk it back, the more I'm going to take my knee away from me and my heel down, okay? And then I'm going to walk it back. We'll do it that one round that way, and then we're going to try to take the top of the foot to the floor, okay? So I'm going to take it back. Oops, already got a little cramp there, but that's okay. So I'm going to try to walk it back, go slow onto the top of the foot, okay? And see if I can eventually get my knee down to the floor and my foot right back to my shoulder. So I had to relax the back of my leg a little bit there, but this is also a good stretch on the top of the foot. I'm actually again trying to bring my knee away from me. Okay, so that'll be round 2, and we'll do that on each side. Okay, so here we go. Find the height that you need first. And like I said, the higher up you are with the hips, the easier it is. But of course, your back has to be able to deal with that as well. And I'm not just lying like a blob on my yoga block. Well, I was actually when I'm not focusing on it, but when I focus, I want to draw my sacrum up towards the ceiling and draw my belly down. So I'm activating that. The hamstring here is going to activate. Okay, so the first part is just walking your foot back, and maybe you'll be able to grab it like me with your hand. Maybe you won't be able to. Maybe you'll just be walking a little bit. So when I first did this, I couldn't really get much out of it because I couldn't really go that far back. But I'm doing this, practicing it, and what I like is this nice stretch in the psoas and the quad, and also I'm stretching the Achilles and the calf, and I'm walking it back, walking it back. Activate the left glute, because I've got my left leg I'm working here. Keep pushing the heel down. Keep drawing the glute up. Keep feeling that nice stretch there, okay? And then I'm going to walk back. So that's now my second time on that side. And then walk back again, walk back. And then you're going to get to a point where you can grab the foot and go on the top of the toes. And see, can I keep going back a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Knee is coming away, glute is working, abdomen is working. Got lots of action happening here. My second time doing this is a lot better than my first, but that's as far as I'm going to go today. I'm not going to get my knee down to the floor. Okay, and then exhale and release. It's a variation on bow pose. Okay, then I'm gonna lift my hips and I'm going to turn around, but you guys can stay the way you are and just do the other side. I'm just going to turn around so that you can see my work on the other side. And of course, as normal, this is always when I discover how different my left and my right side are. So if you're lower down on the block, you may not be able to walk your foot down as much, but as long as you're feeling a stretch, you're good. As long as you're feeling the action. Shouldn't even say a stretch, some resistance, some action here. Okay, so now again, walking my right foot towards my shoulder, towards my head, pushing the heel down, extending my knee away from me, and then I keep walking it a little bit more, walking a little bit more. And when I get to sort of my max, this is when I really feel like there's major work going on here in the psoas. So engage glute, engage hamstring, push your hamstring up, and then draw your knee away from your face, heel down, heel down. Good, let's go back to the start. Realign your pose if it's gone a little funky, and then walk foot back and see, can you tuck the toes under? You may not be able to, maybe too much the first time. If you're feeling too much of a contraction in the back of the leg, you might need to ease off a little bit. But once I get here, again, knee coming away from my head, glute track, almost like I'm trying to lift myself off the block on that side. Feel the lengthening, hamstring engaging, pushing out. Good, and then exhale and walk back. And again, I don't want you to roll down vertebrae by vertebrae, just lift your hips and slowly come down, like your spine all at the same time, so you're not rolling back, because we have a little bit more work to do. Okay. Roll over onto your side and come up to sitting. Okay, so next, I want to go into a lunge pose. And I want to, in our lunge pose today, we're going to try to bring the back leg up. And so you may want to use your strap, or you may just want to do a plain lunge, depending on how you're feeling today. And you might also want your blocks out in front. Okay, so here we are. Let's start with right foot lunge. My hands are going to be on my blocks. I'm going to bring my back foot back. Now, sort of everything we've done should help us with this pose. It may not, but it should. So the first thing is, as you can see, is my ankle is under my knee, and I'm bringing my hips forward. So again, I want to think about the sides of the sacrum coming forward, my thigh coming back. I'm dragging, pushing my back foot into the floor, and I'm dragging it forward. So that's going to open up this hip for me. And my hamstring that I exercised earlier has to work. Now, if you are using a strap, you might want to prepare by putting the strap around your ankle here, so then you can lift it up. Okay, so again, there's no prize at the end, so it doesn't really matter. If you cannot get your foot up, then you can't get your foot up. But you're going to try to bring your foot up towards your buttocks. And sometimes I'll take my buttocks back to my heel, and then I'll grab my foot, and then I'll come forward. I am not on my kneecap, by the way. I am just sort of in front of the kneecap on the very lower thigh. So if I'm using a strap, I'm just going to grab the strap around my ankle. I had it there and now I let it go. Okay, and pull towards, you should feel the quad working, okay? A nice variation on this is to actually, when you're using the strap, to take the strap, if you want to try this, up towards, you know what, I've got to, okay, sorry, sloppy teaching here because I should have been more prepared. Okay, here you go. I'm going to take my strap on my foot, and then maybe what I want to do is take my hands up over my head. I know some of you might not want to do this, but here you go. If you watch that, now I've got this going on. And again, I can take my buttocks back to my heel and then draw them both down. Draw my knee away from my head. And then I'm getting like sort of a twofer here because I've got the strap up over my head and I've got this length. We always think about shortening the distance between our hands and our feet, but sometimes it's good to pull back away from and get that feeling so that you get more of a psoas stretch, and then you can think about bringing the foot closer up. If you're just using your hand, then you're just grabbing the ankle and drawing the heel towards the buttocks and the buttocks towards the heel, and then let the whole hip shift forward. Okay, and then exhale and release. So hopefully some kind of variation worked for you there. If you couldn't lift your back leg up even just a little bit, that's great. If you couldn't, then just focus on just doing the lunge and opening up here and working the hamstring, because that's kind of the theme for today. Okay, so I'm going to turn around. Actually, I'll do the other side. I actually like that variation of using the strap. So if you didn't see it the first time, here it is again. I got my strap. I've just hooked my little round thing here, loop. That's what I was trying to think of, on my ankle. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my left foot forward. Draw the hips forward. Draw the sides of the sacrum forward. Engage the core. Push the thigh back. And I'll see if I can just lift up my foot on its own first. And then maybe grab my belt for a variation. And take my arms up over my head. So again, you can push your hips back and get the heel to go towards the buttocks. And then as a unit, bring both areas forward. And then push through your front foot and draw your belly in and up. Take your right hip and bring it towards your left knee. And if you're doing the hand variation only, grab your ankle with your hand. And again, this right hip can go towards the left knee. And my right knee is sliding away from my body. It's going back that way towards the end of my yoga mat. Good. And then exhale and release. Whew. Okay. So that was kind of like the grand finale pose. And everything else was sort of leading up to that. So now I'm going to end by lying down. Really can feel my psoas, I feel like they've really let go or stretched today and also strengthened. So let's just do some windshield wipers. Back and forth. And then come to neutral, and then take your legs over to the right, and then lift your left leg up and bring it up towards your chest and around to the other side. Let it fall on the floor. Bring your other leg up and over. Take that leg up and over. Come to the side. rolling. It's kind of like you're doing a windshield wipers, but you just allow your legs to come off the floor. And I'm holding my head because I'm looking at you, but you can just let your head relax. All right, and just go back and forth a little bit. So you cross the sacrum. Good, all right. And then let your legs drop. So we want to stretch this quad muscle today as well, because we've worked it as well. So we're going to take our left knee, we're going to bend it, and we're going to keep the knee in line with the hip. And the foot is active. It's like you're pushing against a wall with that foot. You cannot let, in this pose, you should not let that foot be relaxed. Okay, then you're going to take your left knee and bring it on top. Remember, in this pose, we do this a lot in class, you do not want your knee to hurt. So if the knee is hurting, try to support it with your block. So I've got my right ankle on top of my left leg, on top of my left thigh, and I'm actually trying to take my heel and push it into my muscle, my quad muscle, and I'm trying to extend it. I'm pushing my heel away from my head, and that is working that muscle as well. So, you know, this pose just tells me so much of how much work I have to do, because I'm feeling a lot of tension or stretch throughout the whole hip area, so I need to work on that. So again, make sure your left foot stays active. Good, and then exhale, release. Whew, bring that leg back to normal. You know, wow, that feels totally different than the other side. All right, and we'll do the other side. So walk your right foot away from your midline, activate the right foot. I have to move a little bit so that my knee is directly in line with my hip. The left leg comes up and over. And my back of my heel and my back of my Achilles is pushing into my quad muscle, and I'm extending that muscle by pushing in my foot into it, kind of giving it a massage and drawing it away from my head. And I breathe and I try to release whatever is happening there. Remember that foot, the right foot, is active. It's pushing into an imaginary wall. And today I have my side of my fireplace so it can actually push into. And then slowly release. All right, extend your left, no, actually let's not. Let's keep our knees bent, and let's take our hands around our right knee and hug our knee into our chest. And do it gently, be really soft here. Let the psoas in this leg extend. Sorry, it will not extend, it will drop into the body, push through the ball of the foot and the heel. And then if you want to extend the other leg, you can. Just find that neutral spine. And then bending the knee again. And let's change legs. So both legs down. Knee up towards your chest. And push the foot away from you. Think soft, think release, think letting go in the left side. Beautiful. All right, and then like I said, you can extend the right leg, and then you let that leg drop back to the floor. And then let's come back and do a few more windshield wipers. All right, and then we're ready for Shavasana. So however you want to get into Shavasana today, legs up on a chair, just flat out. It's totally up to you. I had a little quote I wanted to read you. And so when you get settled here, I'm just going to find that quote, and then it's on my book. So just get ready. Reading a new book, so lots of good information on it. It's called The Buddha and the Badass, and it's The Secret Spiritual Art of Succeeding at Work by Vishen Lakhiani. So as you're getting ready for your Shavasana, I'll just read you this little poem. When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of distress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without any pain. From this, I understand that from this, I understand that what I want also wants me, is looking for me and attracting me. There is a great secret in this for anyone who can grasp it. So it's almost like in yoga, in a sense, like when you try too hard, sometimes it just feels like, oh, I need to step a little bit back and find that place where we have ease in our poses. Try hard, work hard, but also listen to your body and experience some sense of stillness and rest in the pose. Hard sometimes when we're doing these online classes because maybe we're going a little faster. But you can always replay them and do them at home again. So you're lying in Shavasana. Your yoga mat is supporting your back body. And I want you to try to connect with every place that you feel that connection. So for most people, it's the back of the heels, maybe the side of the back foot, calves, hamstrings, buttocks, sacrum. Maybe parts of your spine, your shoulder blades, the back of your shoulders, and most likely the back of your head. It's so important that not only do we keep a connection with other people. I love our community of yoga people here in our little group. I also believe it's really important to keep communicating with yourself. Keep asking yourself, what am I feeling? What am I sensing? What do I need to resolve? What do I need to let go of? What's holding me back or pushing me forward? This is also, when we're in this state of Shavasana, a great place to ask for assistance from whatever you believe in, or whoever, or the universe, energy. Stay in your body, but connect with the breath and the mind staying in the present moment, the mind staying on what you are doing. Conscious, very conscious relaxation. Observing It's almost as if you are, there's two of you, maybe even three, one lying on the floor and one observing you lying on the floor. And the observer is just non-judgmental, just taking notes, observing what's going on. And maybe the third person is actually the person who's actually doing the relaxing. Soft, slow inhalations and soft, slow exhalations. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretch your arms up over your head. Point your toes, flex your feet, and bring your hands down with a great big sigh. Bring your knees up towards the chest. Roll gently from side to side. Roll over onto your right side. And when you're ready and in your own time, slowly roll up to sitting, unless you need a longer Shavasana, and then you can just hang out there. Thank you everyone for your patience in getting into the class. I actually sent out the same link as I sent out last week, so I'm not exactly sure why this happened today, but it's kind of strange. But anyways, I'll look into it and hopefully it won't happen again. So we have a class on Monday. I invite you all to come on Monday night. It will be the last class in this sort of series. And yeah, if you just want to stay online after I unmute you, or if you could unmute yourself, I just have a question to ask all of you, and then, or I can do it through email as well. Anyways, have a great rest of the day. Enjoy this beautiful, beautiful weather, not too hot, not too cold. So it's lovely. Get out and enjoy it. Namaste. I'm going to end the recording first.